to the game between Anish, Giri, and Ding Liren, because we've been talking about this pin of the bishop on h4, of the knight on f6, and the queen on d8. And as black, I was always told, don't do this, don't allow this, don't castle, because one day you're going to play g5. Now, we saw that, well, actually, knight b8 and maybe knight d7 is a way potentially for Ding Liren to solve this rather annoying, let's face it, pin. Instead, he played the move g5. Now, I was always told that these sacrifices, it's a piece for two pawns, are actually really, really, really dangerous. When I'm not castled, that is to say, when my king's not on the king side, normally black sometimes, sorry, king g7, normally black sometimes he gets to play rook h8 and rook h4, and somehow he deals with this pin. But in such a case, I could play h4, and the fact that I haven't castled means that you're not solving the problem, the problem bishop on g5. Queen f3, and okay, it's not overwhelming attack instantly. Obviously, I still need to play the move f2, f4 to get more pressure.
White actually has another idea because they haven't castled yet.
Yes.
White can very quickly bring the knight over. Knight f1, knight g3, going to h5.
Ooh, well, knight f1, knight g3. Seriously, right? I mean, if you, the whole question from White's point of view is how can he put more pressure on the f6 knight? And you're absolutely right, Nasi. When you put your knight on g3, you instantly realize bishop takes f6 is lights out. It's over. And, you know, VAR, I'm looking at this position, I'm just saying this, Ding Liren is in trouble.
So how did the world champion Ding Liren end up in all-destroying pin on his knight? Anish Giri started with e4, e5, knight out, bishop c4, and we have knight f6, the Italian game, d3, bishop c5. So gioco piano, bishop g5. So you can see here, black has allowed this pin to happen. Normally, black would play h6 as soon as the bishop comes here or before it. Here, Ding plays h6, bishop goes back, and now d6, c3. So Anish is preparing d4 as they normally do in the gioco piano. And now Ding played a5, gaining some space on the queen side. Knight d2. And here, bishop went back. Prophylaxis against d4, so that the bishop doesn't get hit. And here, white played a4. And this is where Ding Liren decided to do castling. So, until you castle, g5 is actually fine. Because you're never really in danger. The rook can come to help the pin. So, like, if you do takes, then rook g8 comes. So that is why it's not a problem. But after castling, when you play g5, which he did, next move, Ding Liren thought for 10 minutes and he played g5. And that's a mistake. Anish Giri capitalized with this sack. A brilliant move. Here it is great because black king has castled, white king has not. And that allows ideas of knight jumps as well. King g7, giving extra support to the pin because queen f3 is coming, and queen f3 did come. So this is where the players ended upon. After 13 moves, after move 10, Ding Liren is in a losing position. As early as move 10.
Of physical helplessness that I just despise. So grandmasters hate to be in pins, and world champions no exception, but
it looks like Anish
he's
is
deliberately
trying to
into
calm himself down because he must be so excited.
Oh, very, very much so.
He has this amazing chance to defeat the world champion.
Well, I have to say, if you think about his preparation for a moment, and the fact that he had like 1 hour and 33 minutes after, say, a dozen moves, and he's playing all of these moves without castling. So he's thinking, maybe I can catch a very big fish. I can catch a very big fish by delay castles, and I can play knight takes g5. Imagine my opponent falls into my net. Well, is it a real trap? So I have to believe that Anish is very familiar with this exact position, and that knight f1 has been on his home computer.
Yeah, even if he wasn't exactly in this position, he has seen very similar positions with knight f1.
Exactly, exactly. And he works very, very, very hard. His chessable courses are lauded for their precision, and he works.
Ding Liren responded to queen f3 with bishop e6, getting his piece out. Now knight f1. Anish Giri finds the correct idea. He is heading to the h5 square with his knight, if given the chance, and that would be deadly. Here, Ding Liren played rook h8, seeing the idea beforehand, stopping the ideas of knight g3, knight h5. And now knight e3. Anish Giri goes to f5 anyway. Queen e7 and castles. So you would see the bar go down here, but that's because there is a difficult move to find for Ding Liren. Ding Liren has to find bishop takes e3. Allowing pawn takes e3 and give an open file to the white rook that no human would play, right? So he plays rook g8, and here Anish Giri plays rook f1. Knight b8 to get the knight to d7 to break the pin somehow. Here Anish Giri breaks out with d4. His ideas after takes and knight d7. Black has just found the way to remove the pin, but then comes e5. And after takes, he's not going to take back. He plays d5, a clearance sacrifice, a pawn sacrifice, clearing out, making this square available and making black himself occupy the e5 square. And in this position, Ding Liren plays queen to b4.
Anticipating any captures on e6 will be met by bishop takes e3, check to the king. F takes e3, something that we've always been wanting to do.
Yes.
And then we can go queen takes c4 check, king b1, queen takes e6, and black is kind of golden because he's gotten rid of so many pieces and gotten out of the pin. How is Anish going to deal with queen b4, Var?
Well, there's only one move in this position. It's a complete chaos on the board right now, Yasser. There's so many different possibilities. Even earlier, Ding had an option to play knight c6 instead of knight bd7. But in the current position, Anish has to find the only move to keep the advantage, which is queen e2 here.
Queen
Not an
e2.
easy move to find.
Quiet move.
Yes.
Not intuitively obvious either, because your queen, which has been doing this great service of keeping that knight in a pin. Queen e2 defends the bishop, which I get. The bishop on e6, fortunately from white's point of view, isn't running away. It's still trapped. And how did the lines continue, Var?
Yeah.
And Anish Giri found queen e2, a highly difficult move and non-natural move, getting the queen out of this attack and bringing it back to defend the bishop. The bishop's hanging here for black, for Ding, right? Ding plays bishop takes h3. He's giving away the bishop, basically. There was only one move for Ding Liren, the world champion, to stay in the game. One idea, and that was bishop takes. When white takes back, bishop g4. Still giving the bishop, right? But the point is, after takes, Ding can play knight e4, and the white bishop is trapped. So that's a beautiful idea here for Ding. But Ding couldn't find bishop takes c3 and then knight e4. He played bishop takes h3. And after g takes h3, Anish Giri is right now back in equal material. He had sacrificed a piece. Ding Liren has given it back. But value of pieces don't really matter. It's all about the black king and these two bad pieces. So Ding Liren plays king f8. And what is the material situation right now? Completely equal. 3 minor pieces, 5 pawns, and queen and rooks for both sides.
Ding Liren played the very, very human response, what you suggested, Nasi. He took on h3, and we considered this, king g8, getting on your running shoes. You said it best. All black needs to do is teleport his king to b8, and he's fine.
Yeah.
But there's a big distance between f8 and b8. And after the move king g8, h4, and I got to say, I really love Anish's position after this move h4. Just keeps all the tension, got f5 on tap, and the knight is coming to f5. It really feels good. Bishop to d4, isn't
Is that
that
an invitation to take rook d4?
It sure feels like it, right? I mean, I'm still stunned that Wesley So didn't make that exchange
Right.
sacrifice when he had the opportunity. Let's have a look, shall we? Rook takes, pawn takes. Again, it's about this coordination, this knight on f. You know, we're exchanged down. But sometimes you just got to ask yourself, I'm material down, but what are my opponent's pieces doing? Take a look at the rook on g8 and rook on h8, and are they fearsome? No, they're not frightening anybody. You've got an extra exchange. Good for you.
After Ding's king f8, Anish Giri got his advantage even bigger with h4. A very nice move, keeping everything intact, making these two rooks absolutely terrible. Here, bishop d4 was played by Ding Liren. And Anish Giri sacrifices an exchange on d4. His point being, after takes, he goes knight f5, threatening almost checkmate over here. The queen is defending it for now, but Anish is threatening pawn d6, which would just be deadly. A block to the queen, hindrance, and after pawn takes, there's mate. So Ding Liren has to give back the exchange immediately. And after takes, it's a great position for Anish Giri. He's still not up material. Material is all equal. But the problem with the position is that the black king is one less safe. And white's pieces are active enough. Here, Ding played knight e5. If queen takes, there's queen take bishop check. So Anish plays bishop b5, saving his bishop. There is no c6 really because takes is there. So he goes knight g4, does Ding Liren. And in this position, Anish plays king b1, tucking his king away, and king g8 by Ding Liren.
It's such a great night. I wouldn't be eager to necessarily trade it, but it's just that the resulting position,
Sure.
the black king,
I can show what's happening now. You have to take knight h6 on the
Right.
move, and now queen takes e5, and the knight is hanging, so your only square is to go to his g4. And after this move, I actually can play even a move like queen f5, and knight doesn't have squares to go to. So, and I have also g6 ideas. I can also simply just capture a pawn, very important pawn actually, on c7. And now the threat is to play queen c8 check and pick up the knight. And now we have also a very strong pass pawn. The main problem here is also black doesn't have any counterplay. We have exchanged a lot of the pieces, and there's just simply no counterplay here for black.
you had me on queen f5 and g6. Knight h6 check, knight takes h6, queen takes e5, and knight g4, queen f5 with the introduction of g6. That's horrifying. The black king is just going to get ransacked there.
Anish finds all the right moves in this game. He goes knight h6. The point being, after takes, queen takes e5. And white's pieces are just too active. Knight comes back to g4, and here he just grabs the pawn on c7. His idea being, after king g7, he goes g6. If king takes, rook g1 would be deadly, a pin. And that is why Ding played rook f8, but then just g takes f7. Ding goes d3, looking for some counterplay, but then rook g1. And that's a very nice move, because after rook takes f7 by Ding, Anish's plan was pretty simple. He goes queen c3, forcing an exchange of queens, and the pin on the knight is still there, and f3 is coming. For example, after takes 3, if you go rook f4, there's f3, and the knight is gone, which is why Ding Liren resigned in this position.
Over, but he
And-
didn't play the move queen f5. He
grew up the pawn.
Yeah, he's a gold-carrying member of the Pawn Grubbers Society. He played queen takes e7 with the threat of queen c8 and give me the knight. Ding got out of that threat with the move king g7, but then walked into g6, rook f8 takes, and we can just see that there's a lot of suffering going on here. Maybe the suffering is actually going to be over right away once you notice that there's a move queen c3 check is one line, as well as queen g3 is the other simple alternative. Both
And he goes
queen
for
c3 check, and again, it's all about this knight being in a pin, and I think that's it. I think
Yep, I think
Ding-
we'll see.
and there's a
resignation.
handshake.
Being resigned, and Anish on +1 now.
Wow. I mean, seriously, guys, sometimes you just got to tip your hat and say to Anish, you know, when you do your best game collection, this game is, you know, chapter 1, you know, defeating the new world champion convincingly. A beautiful positional sacrifice from start to finish. Anish was in the driver's seat.
The
He
whole
was
game.
dictating.
From move 12 or something.
Maybe
very
a
early.
few chances for Ding to equalize, but now he's a half a point behind.